Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 611 on Tuesday, the 10th of December, 2024. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week we'll be seeing how one beast of burden is carrying the load in Africa. In new car news, we see one company finally making something they should have done a few years ago. And in points of interest, we have a bit of fun for you. But first, we go into follow-up, and we have three pieces, but I will start off with some good news. And that is the fact that RECARO Automotive have been saved from collapse by the Italian automotive parts manufacturer Proma Group. It looks like, though, it's not all good news if you worked in Germany, that they will be transferring pretty much all the production to one of the Italian plants that they have. However, they will be retaining some of the sales and technical people from RECARO. Mm-hmm. On the one side, RECARO is going to be a thing once again. That's good. Particularly if you work for Ineos, that's very good.
Yes.
As well as other companies. But obviously there is a bit of fallout, and unfortunately some people will not be keeping their jobs.
Yep. I have some news. I don't know whether it's good or otherwise. ARAMCO has acquired 10% of the, I still can't say it without laughing, OS powertrain, the Renault-Geely joint venture, which is a joint venture to continue developing internal combustion engines for use around the world. This is part of ARAMCO's move to, in their words, develop new mobility solutions which have the potential to reduce transport emissions. Saudi Aramco are, of course, a massive Saudi state-owned oil company. Just to put that into context and explain why they might want to invest in internal combustion engines.
And hybrids. Come on.
And hybrid, this is true.
It's diversifying slightly.
It is diversifying ever so slightly. Renault and Geely both maintain their 45% stake, with Aramco, as say, making up that last 10%.
We were mocking slightly there, but part of Horse's thing is going to be looking at synthetic fuel side of stuff. Mm-hmm. And trying to push on that, which, if it can be made, and it can be made in a zero emission format, mm-hmm. and it hits the criteria, say, for example, what the EU require for it to be approved, then this is a good thing, because that would then mean that we don't have to adjust existing engines, and we would be reducing what we are spewing out dramatically.
Yes.
Lot of ifs, though.
Spewing out, you started to sound like Robert Llewellyn for a moment there. If you could just go into the corner and hit your head off the wall repeatedly, that would be appreciated.
Somebody mentioned transport and environment to me earlier.
Oh, that's why you're in such a grump. Okay. Yes, I saw one recently, which we didn't include the story about how the 5,000 American standard pickups in Europe needed to all be banned. There we go.
Yes.
Elsewhere in the US, Delaware are making up for their massive tolls on I-95 by actually making a good decision.
Yes. The Delaware Chancery Court Judge Kathleen McCormick has denied Tesla's request to change her decision of striking down CEO Musk's ridiculous $56 billion pay package, despite shareholders saying, oh no, it's perfectly brilliant this, and re-ratifying the deal, which we did cover some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Her decision was published in a 103-page opinion piece that said how the Tesla's legal team attempts to change her mind contained flaws, multiple flaws, each of which were fatal on their own.
It sounds a bit like full self-driving, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Pick a reason why you said no. I've got all these reasons to pick from. It's so hard.
Yeah. It's a ridiculous amount of money. It was a crazy way to calculate a compensation package. It was far too open for gaming and manipulation.
Yes.
Just generally, and it doesn't matter who it is. It's still, if you've got the means to game your own pay package because the KPIs are that bad.
Mm. Anyway, Alan, we are close-ish, or we were close-ish to the start of the month, although that feels a very long time ago now.
This is one of those ones where we recorded just before they brought out the SMMT figures. Yeah, we're well into the month. The headline figures for November were a decline of 1.9% over November 2023, or under, as the case may be. with 153,610 deliveries made. EV uptake as a percentage has risen, and the industry is looking at review of market regulation incentives to deliver its successful transition. In other words, Jesus kickbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, petrol down 17.7%. Diesel vehicles down 10.1%. Hybrid electric vehicles down 3.6%. Battery electric vehicles up 58.4% year on year, and plug-in hybrids down 1.2%. Overall, that leaves petrol with a 45.8% market share, diesel with a 6.1% market share, hybrid electric vehicles with 12.8%, battery electric vehicles with 25.1%, and plug-in hybrids with 10.2% overall.
And that is just for November, don't forget.
Yes, sorry, pardon me. Those were just for November. Do we want the year-to-date market share figures?
Well, I think it's important with the BEV.
This is true. Battery electric vehicles now have reached 18.7% market share in 2024. 22% is the mandated target.
Yes.
It's not going to be achieved, let's be honest, unless everybody simply refuses to register anything but EVs in the month of December, and I don't think that that's very likely. Then it just ain't going to happen realistically. As at the time of recording, they still haven't re-announced whatever the revised things are.
No, they haven't.
Revised targets are.
No. But we do have to remember as well that that's not all companies, that is the industry percentage.
Yes. Sorry, that's everybody averaged.
Several manufacturers will be doing fine. Some will be close to the knuckle, and others will not be doing fine at all.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if and when those numbers are published by someone. We don't have that. Those figures aren't available to us as it stands.
Mm-hmm. What I think we should mention, though, is that fleet was down 1.1% in November, which must make the industry panic, considering how much fleet has been keeping the industry going for, well, we're now into November, so we're a year and a month since private registrations began to flatline before dropping.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sorry, forgive my hesitation if those of you can hear it or see it. I've just realized the most registered table is missing this month.
Oh, it is.
And it's not in any of the press releases. You're spared the final countdown, I guess. Yeah, that's odd. We're going to have to email them. Anyway, there you go, good listeners.
You've dodged a bullet.
You've dodged a bullet there, but that doesn't matter because we've still got Andrew's spreadsheet of doom.
Yes, and there is a mix of doom and not doom. I will do the dooms as usual, and I'll start with Alfa Romeo is down 32%. Audi is down 29%. Now, that into context, because context is important. Last year, they registered 11,205 vehicles. This year, 7,972. So that's a big drop, and that's a lot of money.
It's a drop of 2% market share.
Yeah, that's a significant dent, but BMW are down 12%, where they just drop effectively 1,400 vehicles in registration. DS is down 55%, Ford down 32%. Okay, that's bad. Mm-hmm. 11,349 in 2023 to 7,707 in 2024.
That's fewer than Audi, you'll have noticed.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Honda down 27%, Ineos down 24%, but then again, they've got no seats. Jaguar down 53%, Maserati down 68%, Mazda down 21%, Aura down 82%. Okay, 2023, 94, 2024, 17.
Well, there are quite a lot of press vehicles registered at this time last year, though, and dealer demonstrators and stuff, I think.
But also, it goes to show when people are selective with either a percentage or a number, there's usually a counter to it.
Yeah, totally.
Smart are down 56%. Subaru, which is the first time in a while, they're down 36%. Suzuki is down 63%. So that was 2,170 in 2023 to 811. Wow, that's bad.
But they cut their range as well.
Yeah, but I don't know whether that must have come into force now then. because there's no way they should be that low.
Yeah, I assume so.
Vauxhall are down 48%. Similar to Ford, last year they registered 9,204. This year, 4,817. Ouch. Other imports is down 20%. Please cheer us up, Alan, with some good figures.
Yes, I was looking through that, and I think some of the things that I said last week about Stellantis brands and things probably make sense, actually. It's kind of underlined it a bit. I shall start from the bottom. Other British vehicles, not generally listed, things like Morgans and stuff, up 31%. That's just over 100 units. Volvo up 36%. Tesla up 176%. Polestar up 16%. Peugeot up 19%. Mini up 44%. Again, I think availability of vehicles there. Jeep up 427.71% from 231 vehicles to 1,219. I wonder, is the new Avenger coming on?
It must be. It has to be. Because it's not going to be the Wagoneer, is it?
No.
They haven't registered that many.
No, have they actually released that in the UK now?
I don't think so. No.
All right, okay, no.
Jeep, congratulations to them for the MG Award.
Yes, absolutely. They are the biggest star this month. Fiat up 38% with 900 units registered. Dacia up 49%. BYD up 421%. Just edged out by Jeep there. Alpine up 120%.
Yep.
BYD, by the way, more registrations than Honda last month. Also, more registrations than Jeep.
Yes. Just to round this out, obviously Mike Hawes has a little comment that he makes, and he's basically saying, which Alan did allude to when introducing this, but essentially, please give us some help because of the incentives and price cuts that the industry has put in place, which really does kick into touch the argument that price is not an issue for people.
Yeah.
The great thing is, and I think this ties into, this will help Stellantis brand, particularly, I know you've mentioned them a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, but the vehicles that are coming on stream that are under £25,000 new, I think we will see the Stellantis brand actually start to do better because of those. You look at the Citroen, the Fiat, the Vauxhall, that's really going to help them across the board.
There's an accompanying article that you put will be linked in the show notes from AM Online, and it's talking about residual values plummeting of EVs. And the advantage of these smaller EVs, the stuff that Stellantis is doing in terms of some of the Fiats and these things, is that these, I don't want to call them budget price because they're not.
More affordable.
But these more affordable EVs, they don't have as far to go when it comes to plunging. When something costs £80,000 new, there's an awfully long way for the price to drop in the first year.
Well, you look at some of the ones that were 30 to 35 that you could get for under 20 grand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, and all they've got is delivery mileage on them. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Obviously, that is not sustainable.
Exactly. And that's part of the problem, is that the dealerships want to keep shifting these things, and they're doing it at any cost because the punishments for keeping them hanging around are higher than the residual. They're basically passing the problem onto the consumer, onto whoever's purchasing it.
But not if they're leasing. But if it's leased, then it's the leasing company that gets stitched up.
Yeah, and the leasing companies don't like that. So as a result, they then ramp up the price, don't they?
Yeah, which then dampens demand for a new vehicle even more when the industry is already struggling because of a variety of factors.
And a lot of this comes back to Tesla essentially just price dropping the Model 3 and relying purely on EV credits in the US and trading the credits and stock price bumping via meme attempts, as I've already hinted today, in order to maintain that look of being consistent and successful, whilst frankly stuffing the leasing companies.
Yeah,
because the leasing companies were leasing the Model 3s out, and every time there's £5,000 or £6,000 slashed from the price, then all of a sudden that's like everything goes £5,000 down in their residuals. And that has a major effect when everyone goes, well, all of the EV residuals are rubbish. A lot of that is down to, quite frankly, most of them being Teslas, most of them basically having the price slashed by the manufacturer who's just cutting so that they make nice quarterly figures. And not caring about anyone further down the line or sustainability, just immediate cash grab. Sorry, I'll get down off my high horse in a minute.
No, but you're spot on, and it's stuff we've discussed because there's Hertz dropped them primarily, whilst they did talk about repairability and servicing.
Well, that's part of it too.
It was mainly due to the fact that they got absolutely hammered on that these cars were not going to be worth what was anticipated when they first went into the deal.
And the thing is, I don't even blame Hertz for that one.
No,
because when the manufacturer slashes the price of the cars that you've got by $10,000 in one fell swoop, then
you've lost trust. How can they trust them? They can't trust. Nobody can trust. If you are looking at this from a monetary point of view, you cannot trust what Tesla are going to do next in any direction. So you go, well, let's just not touch them because it's too risky.
Yeah.
Whilst that is one company, all EVs, they lose money quicker than an ICE car, unfortunately, because we're still so new into this technology. So nobody has got this sorted. Equally, though, you've got people not pushing to get them as well for, like I said, for a variety of reasons. There will be a couple of other articles or links in the show notes, one of which is going to talk about a paper that came out, a research paper that came out that found that 1 in 8 adults, so that's roughly 7 million people in Great Britain in 2023, were finding it difficult to manage financially. And 1 in 15, so that's around about 3.5 million, had been in rent or mortgage arrears in the past year. And people still are going, oh, but it's misinformation why cars aren't selling. No, it's not. Stop it. It really isn't.
But fundamentally, people can't afford them, and then they can't afford to take the potential loss, so they're being risk averse and avoiding them.
Well, equally, they can't afford that initial outlay.
Yeah, exactly. I did say
well as, but I can't afford the other end of it. And it just makes a mockery when you also see headlines that go, oh, but secondhand sales are booming. And you sort of go, yeah, because it's cheaper than a new car. Think it through. Can you not? But I've said it too many times before on this show.
We could continue this particular discussion for many hours of ranting, but that's probably not really going to help anyone or anything. So should we move on to talking about Tesla?
Yes. Well, in continuing not a good week for Tesla and Elon Musk, Tesla told the Cybertruck production line to take the next 3 days off last week. They started regular scheduling again last Friday, and they shortened the production hour earlier in the year anyway. Amazing that you make this thing that doesn't really do anything very well, that people mock, and is tied to a company where the CEO is seen by many as toxic and not somebody you want to be associated anywhere near or with, and you don't sell.
And you can't expand your market because you can only sell it in the US because the US conveniently doesn't have any pedestrian safety rules, whereas everywhere else does, even Canada.
No matter how hard you try with influencers who, frankly, post absolute garbage, and if you see any of them, particularly the British ones, going, oh, this is brilliant, we should have it over here, you know you can ignore them because they do not know what they're talking about.
You can't. So a little while ago, I think it was on Blue Sky, there was a little conversation about this, and I was able to quote chapter and verse from any of the goods, vehicles, or import stuff about the rules around radii on the front of vehicles. And which, as soon as you read like the 2 paragraphs that there are about that, you go, unless it's a different vehicle, it ain't going to pass.
No.
It's that simple. It just, unless it is a different thing, you cannot even individual vehicle or single vehicle approve it in the UK. So anyone who's telling you otherwise, and that they've managed to register one or bought one, and if they bought one in the UK, they bought a pretty ugly lawn ornament, and that's it. You can't do any more than just, as the illustration on this Yahoo story shows, show it off outside of a shopping centre, because that's it. And even then, you have to trailer it there and back. just not registerable.
Yep. Anyway, should we go on to a
useful electric truck?
Yeah, a good news story.
It is. So for quite a long time, since pretty soon after we started the podcast, I think, then we've talked about Ox. Ox was a small truck, forward control truck that was designed and built to be essentially flat pack, easily shipped in containers, and all these things. And originally, it used a lot of Ford Transit running gear. They revised all of that a little while ago, a couple of years ago, and it is now electric. And what's happening now is that they have a new franchise partner called Ox East Africa, and that franchise partner is basically there to satisfy the demand for Ox Delivers services from Rwanda, as well as expansion into Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Burundi. What they're doing is they're offering the electric trucks or fleets of them, along with a subscription to tech platform and vehicle maintenance services. So it is essentially rugged electric truck as a service, which people pay, people pay on a weekly or monthly basis, so that there's a much quicker cycle. Essentially, you can't really save up to buy the whole thing, but they can make use of it. They can and pay the service costs and everything spread out over time. So it's much easier to manage. And it seems to have been pretty popular. This deal is worth $163 million, which is not insignificant, really.
No. It shows that you can design a vehicle of minimum fluff, shall we say? I mean, this is really the minimum viable vehicle, isn't it? In a lot of ways.
The CEO of that has commented, over the last 3 years, Ox Delivers made a significant positive impact on the lives of our 5,000 customers in Rwanda. Some of our customers have seen their sales increase by 5 times simply by using the Ox Delivers service. This new franchise will allow us to strengthen our commitment to Rwanda as well as expanding to neighboring countries and radically transform the lives of thousands more traders. They're meaning people can sell their stuff that bit further afield.
Yeah.
And then by sort of increasing the diameter of that circle, it means that they can scale up, which is all pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Good story, that one. Okay, I'm going to take us from the mountains of Rwanda to the hills of Wales. And there is a car club which has just launched its first phase for a network of car clubs across rural Wales. Talking about back in time, this was something that when EVs were really beginning to be part of the conversation, so this is very early days of the podcast, I remember Major Gav, it might have been on Twitter or it was actually a post on Petrol blog. I think it was a post on Petrol blog where he talked about the greatest thing that EVs could do is become village car clubs.
I remember that.
That would help things like the lack of bus service, but would also cut down on the number of vehicles people would need. And this is basically what this Welsh car club called Trydanau, I think. Sorry, it's been so long since I've tried to pronounce Welsh.
Probably pronouncing nothing like that, but we're going to make a darn good stab at it.
And it's basically what they're trying to do. And it's in Mid Wales at the moment. They're working it through there, and they've got some funding from the Welsh government, as well as the community finance partner, which is Robert Owen Community Banking. I think this is a brilliant thing, and I hope they're mega successful. And if you happen to live in the area of Machynlleth, if you live near there and you think this might be something that you or friends could take advantage of, then do check out the link in the show notes, because in the link to the piece we've got, it talks about how to sort of check out the rest of their site, how it works, the locations that they're in, and everything like that, and how you can book and join. Excellent. I love this sort of thing. This is what we should be doing so much more of.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
As well as improving public transport, etc., etc. We need so many things. So many things have to help raise us up. It's not one single solution.
No, absolutely not. Have we fought our way through this week's news? That means it's time for Guilt Minute, quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel that the Motoring Podcast is worth small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of Patreon include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand. Then you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supply lets you. If you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone that does.
That sounded a bit creepy at the end. I'm very sorry about
that. Free bonus this week.
Yeah.
He'll come and whisper it in your ear if you don't.
No, I just creeped myself out. Anyway, new car news this week kicks off with a small electric SUV. Yay!
But from a company that should have done this years ago.
Oh, this is at least a couple of years out of date. Well, not out of date, at least a couple of years too late anyway. Ford have released a new Ford Puma Gen E. Prices starting from under £30,000. So this is what Ford should really have introduced whenever they got rid of the Fiesta.
Yep.
In fact, they should have introduced a Fiesta E, but there we go. This is a new model that's going to join the Ford Puma lineup alongside the hybrid petrol versions. It has a range of up to 233 miles when fully charged. I had to go last week, was it? About Ford making EVs that are just too big and too expensive.
Yep.
Hopefully this will go some significant way towards solving that.
Well, it's their most popular vehicle in the UK is the Puma.
Yeah.
Okay, they lost the Focus and the Fiesta, so that is the smallest vehicle they do as well. And it like we said, they're late to doing this, but they're doing it, and I'm actually quite impressed. I'm not impressed with the mile range, but I am impressed with the other parts of the technical specifications of this, such as it's 10 to 80%, as long as you've got the right charger and the environmental conditions allow, could only take 23 minutes. That's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
The price is pretty good as well. It's about the right area for this size, although... And
with that kind of good tech, because that's not always a given at that kind of price point, the up to 100 kilowatt charging and these kind of things.
Yeah, but if you look at some smaller vehicles, they're not too far off the same range, but almost £6,000 or £7,000 less expensive. However, Ford generally has a fairly decent residual value because of popularity.
And a trusted brand as well.
Yeah.
Really, if you compare, some of it's going to be interesting to see what the residuals are of some of the Chinese brands where people aren't really that sure of them, and they go, do I buy that, or do I squeeze out a few more pounds per month and buy the Ford instead?
Yeah.
Which is a key point. One of the things, by the way, about that range, that WLTP range is saying 234 miles. This Motoring Research article here is saying that they're used only for urban travel. The figure can increase up to about 325 miles, as long as you're not out on the motorway lots. You should see that figure, if not more, which is quite impressive. This is good. I think that first photograph is quite unflattering in the yellow with the mouth filled in, but the profile stuff looks great.
Well, the problem is the Puma's a pig ugly vehicle anyway, so that's part of your problem. And the fact that they've done nothing imaginative with the grille except for just fill in the plate. It's just okay, whatever.
But what more do you actually need if you want to? Not everyone wants an EV to look weird.
Well, then don't buy a Puma because the Puma looks weird.
Yeah, all right, yeah. That was the first flaw in that argument, wasn't it? People seem to be buying the Puma. They don't seem to think it looks too weird.
I know. The guide dogs are shaking their heads, though, etc., etc. Yeah, let's move on.
I'd rather that than a Capri, by the way.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, I won't mistake it for a Volkswagen, that's for sure. Anyway, moving on to
a Volkswagen
Group. And this is the Cupra Terramar, I think. It's an SUV, but it has an internal combustion engine. You can order it right now, with prices starting at £37,805. This goes above the Ateca, which is their small SUV.
I have no idea how these ranges work. I couldn't even name their range.
I think this is equivalent to a Tiguan size, from what I can sort of glean from the pictures. Again, There's no context in the pictures because it's rendered images.
Generic swishy background. Yes. Well, the thing that tells you roughly what sort of size this is going to be is that that they're intending on selling it in the US.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not going to be that much smaller than a Tiguan.
No, that'll probably be the smaller they can go. Right, what do we get engine-wise? There is a 150 horsepower, 1.5 litre four-cylinder mild hybrid that is front-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
There is also 2 plug-in hybrids attached to a 1.5 litre petrol, 204 or 272 horsepower. With that, there is a 28.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack with a range of up to 75 miles. That is good.
Yes.
I like anything that is anything over 50 miles, but really now we're going, north of 70 miles on electric only is very good. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes them even more of an interesting and attractive first step into electrified driving.
It's kind of funny how plug-in hybrids have gone from everyone accusing them, or many people were accusing them of being the worst of both worlds to becoming the best of both worlds, isn't it?
It's amazing how now people are including them in the new car registration figures as well, going, oh, look at anything with a plug is now at 30-something%. And you're going to go, yeah, I do remember you saying plug-in hybrids should be banned forthright.
Mm.
Yeah, there is colossal amounts of hypocrisy out there. You are quite right to point that out. But also there will be a 2-litre, going back to the Cupra, a 2-litre four-cylinder petrol engine, which is 204 horsepower and is mated up to Cupra's 4-drive all-wheel drive system. Then, if you are someone who likes to hustle along a bit longer, there is a 265 horsepower 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, which is the same one that's in the latest Golf GTI. 5.9 seconds to 62 is quite impressive considering the size of this.
It is. Thankfully, that I noticed that there's a note in, again, this motoring research article pointing out the upgraded Akebono brakes for the 265 horsepower version. Hopefully it can stop as well as it goes. I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. I quite like it.
I quite like Cupra's designs. They're not generic VW group with a badge.
I was going to say they're Volkswagen, but interesting.
Yeah. The board have allowed the companies to do their own designs again, which I think is a wise choice.
I think so too.
Anyway, sticking with
Volkswagens, Lamborghini have introduced their first hybrid V8 powered supercar, the Temerario, probably it, something like that. And yes, it looks like a Lamborghini. Okay, you're not actually. One of the nice things about this is you can tell it's a Lamborghini, not a Ferrari, a McLaren, or whatever, anything else.
I really like that about Lamborghini, to be fair.
Yeah, a Lamborghini, you can tell it's a Lamborghini. The latest Ferraris could be any sort of generic thing that was unveiled at Geneva over the last 10 years. But Lamborghini still look like Lamborghini. The article that we're going to link to here is quite a long sort of interview piece by the very pleasant Tim Pitt, who's with some of the design team. So there's lots of stuff in between the vehicle specs. But the ultimate numbers seem to be that it's 920 horsepower at 9,450 RPM. You know, the Huracan STO is just 640 horsepower. Maximum torque is 538 pound-feet, and that's available from 4,000 to 7,000 revs. So you can get that pottering around in relative terms. The 3.8 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery provides an EV range of around 6 miles. So you can get far enough away from home that your neighbours aren't going to complain about you starting up a jet fighter at 7 o'clock in the morning.
0 to 62 is 2.7 seconds, and it's got a top speed of 211 miles per hour, which seems ample.
I think that would be just fine for me.
Adequate.
I would say. Yes. I assume it's all-wheel drive. I can't actually... a rear-biased four-wheel drive setup. And rear downforce is up by 103%, which I'm sure that the Tread Shuffle gang will enjoy talking about in great detail. I really like this. I think it's cool.
They've got some great colours as well. That green's amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can have any colour you want as long as you pay for it. I like.
Okay, let us move on to points of interest. And this is from the Autopian, and it is titled, Vin Diesel is right. The Fast and the Furious saga was better when it was about real street racing and real stunts. From Matt Hardigree.
We've gone for the deep and meaningful stuff here this week.
Yes. Don't think we could take anything too deep and meaningful this week, to be fair.
No, not really. But I think it's, I actually, but obviously, I put this in mostly because I agree. I've stopped watching. The last few have just become so ridiculous that I've just stopped paying any attention whatsoever, whereas I really enjoyed some of the early ones.
Well, I didn't bother after the first half hour of the first one. It was just like, whatever.
Of the first one?
Yeah. It was just like, whatever.
Oh, right. Okay, whatever. I mean, the best one, of course, is Tokyo Drift, which isn't really a Fast and Furious movie at all. But that, again, is debate as to whether that actually is the best one. But it is. Tokyo Drift is the best.
Maybe we need to bring, what's the podcast with Chris? Sorry, I've forgotten the name of it for a second. Auto movie? No.
Yes.
Maybe we need to get them on and have a full discussion. Although they have covered it on theirs.
Well, the thing is that the Auto Movie podcast, I always disagree with them. I don't tend to listen because it annoys me because I disagree. And the thing is, they're normally right, but I also disagree because I don't think they should be right. It's the most ridiculous thing, yes.
Yes, and they are lovely. And do go listen to their podcast, by the way. It is great. It
is really good. The problem is me, not their podcast. It's only because I care too much, yeah. There was one that they were in. I was like, no, you're ruining this for me. So no, I don't tend to listen. But this is a great 5-10 minute read. There's interspersed by some videos as well. If you want the full whack from the Autopian, of course.
Right, do you want to take us on to something new?
Yes. We've muttered before that List of the Week is becoming increasingly difficult. Listicles got trashed by bad AI-generated rubbish. Nobody now publishes lists. Almost nobody publishes lists. So what we're going to try this week, and we may, if we find good lists, we may well swap it out and swap it back.
Yep.
Is Configurator of the Week, everyone. This was a suggestion, whenever we were grumbling about List of the Week, this was a suggestion that came in from Jamie Stokes, and much appreciated because it is a really good idea. Hence, we're going to try it.
Yep. There will be a link in the show notes to the configurator that we have chosen for the week, so you can have a little play yourself.
And maybe a link to any codes or ways that we can share them as well. I know that I put a link to mine in this week. My configuration in this week. We're going to start with a classic. Well, the latest version of a classic. We're going to start with the Porsche configurator because we all know what fun the Porsche configurator. Well, hopefully we all know what fun the Porsche configurator is. If you don't, this is your awesome opportunity to find out what fun the Porsche configurator is. And I decided this week we would start with the Macan Electric, because why not choose one of the most recent offerings there? And it's a good configurator because obviously, like all the Porsche ones, it allows you to go absolutely crazy, but also to spec the kind of thing that you might actually want. As there's a link in there to the Macan Turbo Electric that I spec'd up in Aventurine with the off-road wheels and the beige and black interior. My paint choice was only £2,250, which is a bargain compared to paint to sample at £7,536. That was where I began, and then I did go for the £1,300 off-road wheels rather than the standard ones. I just like it's a simpler 5-spoke. It's kind of chunky.
So what was your base price?
Oh, it's
on the summary.
Remember because I've opened my already built one. But I think it was around 93,000 or something.
Okay, because the base price I've got is 96,900.
That's the one.
Okay, but my selected options came to £17,457.
Your selected options alone.
Yeah, and then price for accessories, $6,849.
Hang on, I had to go to my summary. Yeah, I only went to £6,214 worth of extras.
Okay.
Coming in at a mere, with £130 of accessories because you want the all-weather floor mats.
Yes.
And that came in at £103,244 for a Macan. It is a very tasteful one.
Mine was a smidgen more expensive at $121,206.
What did you do? Did you go for all the fancy lights and stuff?
Not really. I picked oak green metallic as the paint.
It's all right. It's a bit flat. I don't really like it.
I did go... My wheels are a bit expensive, though. The 22-inch RS Spider design wheels.
They are lovely. Did you then chose them in gold, didn't you?
No.
No, did you not go for the painted gold?
No.
Oh, I would have. I almost chose those, but then practicality took over and I thought, I don't want to curb them.
Yeah, but also I did spec winter wheel and tyre sets as well.
And you see, I didn't choose one because I thought that was cheating. Also, the winter wheel and tyre sets were less practical than the summer wheels I'd chosen, which I thought was a bit weird because, you know, whilst I'm not as old as you, I do appreciate a little bit of tyre wall.
Mm-hmm.
So hence sticking at the 21-inch, not 22-inch.
Okay. I did get decorative valve sleeves. They bargain at £60.
No.
And also snow chains because it's so bad for snow around where I live at only £408. Some of this is a bit silly, what I've done, because I've gone, I can't believe you charged that. Interior, I went for the club leather interior in truffle brown.
I considered it, decided it would be a bit dark. I mean, you know, I don't like dark interiors on a car. I much prefer something paler. So I've got the leather and the black and crayon leather. I didn't go for extended leather package because, you know, it's just a bit much.
Well, I countered that with a panoramic roof. There was a few bits on the exterior where I went for the off-road design package with the painted in exterior colour.
You see, I didn't. Despite choosing the off-road wheels, I didn't do that, but I did go for the roof bars in black, though.
I didn't go for roof bars. Oh, no, I did. I got rails. I got roof rails in black aluminium.
And because I wanted the heated and cooled seats, I have the comfort seats instead of the sports seats, the adaptive sports seats plus, which is standard equipment. Weirdly, in some choices, it wasn't even because I wanted the ventilations, because I wanted the massage function.
Yeah, I got the comfort seats as a no-cost option, but then the massage was $1,176.
And front and rear seat heating as well.
Yes, I did that as well. Yep.
Yeah, that was a mere £324. I figured that was probably worth it for the increase in range, but not having to have the heater on as much in the winter.
Yeah. What did you do when it came to powertrain and chassis?
That's a very good question. I think I mostly left it alone. Oh, no, there's 3 options ticked. Sport Chrono package, which was standard, electric sport sound, which was standard, and the single-speed transmission, which was standard. So I didn't do anything. I decided I didn't want to fork out. I didn't really need the rear axle steering, which is, I quite like rear steer. It's not bad. I decided I didn't need the Porsche design sub-second clock at £783.
Oh, I did.
I wasn't going to pay 600 and something pounds for black painted brake calipers. So
no, I didn't do that.
There wasn't much that caught my eye there.
No, but I did go for the rear axle steering, and I did get the Sport Chrono package with the Porsche design sub-second clock.
No.
Lights and vision, did you do anything there?
No, I just left all of that stuff. I think the standard lights are good enough. Sometimes with the Porsches with the LED lights, they have a bit of a dead eye effect on it.
Okay.
And I don't like the look at the front, and I figure the standard ones are pretty good.
I like the look of the blue, but it didn't go with the colour, so I ignored that. And all I did was spec the thermally and noise-insulated glass.
I surprisingly didn't. I looked at it. I thought about it.
Didn't go for privacy there.
I didn't. I just left it. I thought, you know what? It's quite low-key. I'm just going to leave it without the drug dealer glass.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much it. I went kind of light after that.
I did a few bits on the interior, nothing too excessive, although I did go for the multifunction GT Sport steering wheel with inlay in carbon.
No.
Because it seems so silly in an SUV.
Yeah. Did you go for mine's bad enough with its wood chunks in the steering wheel. Did you choose the passenger display, though? I didn't. No. I decided I wasn't bothered. And the only other thing on the interior was the all-weather floor mats at £130.
Yeah, I picked them. However, in the technology side of things, I did spec the augmented reality heads up and the surround view with active parking, but I unticked the cruise control and I unticked the lane keeping assistance.
Oh no, I turned on the active cruise. I chose active cruise because I like active cruise.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But they give you a dash cam as standard, and that was it, really.
Do you know what? Actually, the standard spec on these is pretty good. I mean, despite the fact we're starting at 96,000. So
there was something that I balked at, and was the £230 for a rear wiper.
I missed that. I would have selected that if I'd spotted it.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with that. I did select that, though.
You see, I would always spec a 911 with a rear wiper. It just says, I'm going to use this in all weathers.
It should just be standard.
There is some debate as to whether or not it looks ugly on a 911.
Okay.
But I would always have it. Anyway, you'll be able to find, if you want to dive deeper into those, then you will be able to find, well, I've put my Porsche code in so they can go in the show notes. I'm sure Andrew will do the same.
Yep.
And links in there so you can see what we've been wittering about and then tell us where we're wrong, what we should have missed. Share via the social medias what you've done so that we can all critique it and laugh at you. Don't forget to leave it in the comments, everyone. Sorry, that just sounds so YouTubery, doesn't it?
But it is right. It is what we say, though. But we don't mean it in that sort of, because we're trying to create fake engagement. Anyway, let's go on to the and finally. And this is a link to a personal project from the photographer who is based in Japan, Alfie Goodrich. And it is just a few selections of vehicles he's found out and about while walking around Tokyo, I think this is, but definitely around Japan. And it's just amazing. He's a fantastic photographer, by the way. Do check out the rest of his site and that, but it's awesome stuff. The stuff he's found and where he's found it. It just looks great.
And just what it's against. There's a lovely I love the Lancer Evo wagon.
Yeah,
that's in there. That's kind of cool. But just some of the sort of juxtapositions and things, and it's not stuff he's posed. It's just stuff that was there.
Yeah,
it's the impression I get. So it's very cool. Like it, really good one. That's just a couple of minutes. Not big enough to be a list of the week or a lunchtime click through, but it's just nice.
Yes.
Anything else for this week other than manufacturers? Please try and get all of your news out before next week.
Yes.
And then after that, we're going to take a short hiatus for a few weeks over Christmas and New Year because you're very busy. I have to get back to the UK, and also there's very little news over that time. And then we can revert to this, as I think I said in the note to patrons last night / very early this morning, depending on where you are in the world, that it's going to be nice turning this back into a evening activity with a mildly alcoholic beverage as opposed to one fueled by caffeine and anger early in the morning.
And that's just me.
We can take a few weeks off just to get ourselves sorted out and ready and drag ourselves kicking and screaming into 2025 so we can just move on and get on with it, and it will be easier. Much, much easier. In the meantime, though, don't forget between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts with the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky, or you can try and get in touch with me on LinkedIn, where I do actually go under my real name. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
Generally, it's Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY. And as I say, we'll be back very soon. But until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.